Okay, hello and welcome to a bit of a different review. Two things that are different. One, this is the first steam locomotive I have reviewed. And second, I am going to do it in a bit of a different style. I'm going to open up the box and then I'm going to sit it down and do the review with it sitting down instead of moving around. So this is another locomotive from A-Trains, and it is obviously a steam engine. It is in fact a Bachmann, whoop, there's the focus, in scale. In fact, we'll just, oh, that's zoom. I'm so professional. Alco 260 steam loco DCC. New York Central, 1906. Alrighty, that's great, and upside down. So let's go ahead and open up this packaging. This is general Bachmann packaging, pretty much the same for both locomotives, well, small locomotives and rolling stock. We'll just pop the lid off, set that down there. There's a bit of plastic here. Well, a lot of plastic here. In fact, so much plastic that it came out. And we've got, well, a piece of paper for the warranty and a piece of paper talking about DCC. And then we have the locomotive here in this plastic sort of holdy thing. We'll just take the lid off, and now I'd say this is a bit more of a cradle with this plastic wrap around it. We will tip it over and lift out this so that way it falls into your hand. So now we have the locomotive here, and I'm going to sit it down and we'll look at it. Sitting it down for two reasons. One, I think it'll look better, and two, the tender and locomotive are attached, and that'll just make it easier so I don't have to fiddle with it rolling around in my hands. Alright, we have the Bachmann 260, Alco 260, here in New York Central. Starting on the front, you can see the giant coupler that doesn't look very realistic. It doesn't look to scale. Then you have the front pilot with the cowcatcher, and then little steps on either side. Then there looks to be some sort of cut bar, and then several, well, not several, two small, probably handrails or other railings going from the pilot up to the boiler. Then you've also got this little, well, metal strip going in between the front wheels, underneath the boiler, connecting the plow to the rest of the chassis. Going down the sides, you can see the front two wheels, the front axle. You can see the nameplate on the boiler. Below that you see a walkway, and below that is the cylinders, the steam cylinders, and then you can, as we go back, you see the drive gear. The drive gear looks really good. I don't know how accurate. Maybe there's bits missing, maybe it's fully modeled. I don't really know, because the real New York Central 1906 was not an Alco 260. It was actually built before Alco did it, I think, if I read it right. You also have a metal, well, I think the whole body is die-cast. I'm not entirely sure. It feels like it is, though. If you, like, you know, feel the sides of the body, it feels metallic. So you've got the metal handrails also on either side, and then some what looks like hose or pipe detail on at least the right hand side of the locomotive. On top you have the steam and sand domes, and then the bell in between them. There's the smokestack and the headlight. The headlight has 1906 printed on the side of it, and the headlight is lit, because it'd be pretty hard for them to sell a locomotive with no headlights these days. Now back towards the cab, you can see the whistle and what I'm assuming is a dynamo. I'm not entirely sure. And then you go back to the cab. There are several cast-in roof vents that do not open. And then you can see, going down onto the side, you can see 1906 printing very well, as well as a window in the front of the cab, and then 2 windows on the side. It looks like there's only a plastic insert in the front side window. It looks like the back one might be hollow, but I can't really tell. Then, down below the cab, you have more detail. Not amazing detail, but it's not too bad. Going back to the back of the cab, you can see the cables and connections between the locomotive and the tender. And then we now go back to the tender. I think the tender may be plastic. I'm not really sure still. If so, then the locomotive definitely feels die-cast. The tender, not as much, but I could just be wrong. The handrails that are at the front of the tender are separately applied, and they seem to be metal, like the handrails that go along the side of the boiler. There's also some small step detail at each corner of the tender, and then on top of the tender you have a coal load that is better than some of the coal loads I saw in HO, but it's not perfect. But for being, being Bachmann and being not the highest caliber model, which this model is actually pretty good for being not a Spectrum product from Bachmann. The coal load looks pretty good, and then you have what I assume is a water hatch behind that, and then going down the back there's a nice, very nice little metal ladder. I assume it's metal. It feels like it's metal once again. And then you have the 1906 number right behind it. You have the coupler cut bar, and then the oversized Bachmann coupler at the very end. Both couplers do have the metal uncoupling pins. Then going on to the left-hand side of the locomotive and tender, it's pretty much exactly the same, except there's a little bit of detail just in front of the cab on the side of the boiler that I don't really know what it is. If you do happen to know, I would love to know. Another thing I should note is this locomotive is DCC equipped. The chip is located in the tender, and also all of the wheels, including the ones on the tender, are metal, so that allows for good electricity conductivity, and probably is also really important as the DCC chip is located in the tender, so it probably really helps, especially because this is a small locomotive.